Okay, this is the second video. We just got done talking about how to graph from that form and the information from that form. We're now going to go over how to switch forms. So again, this is standard form that we're starting off with. We have vertex form and we have factored or intercept form that we can work with. And then we're going to go from there with each of these forms. So standard form, how do we switch? Okay, well, we can go to intercept and factored form from this. Intercept is probably the easiest. If I'm factoring something, so go to intercept form, I have to factor. Factoring something, find a GCF first. There is a GCF in this case. So we take out that 2. That means divide everything by that 2. So 2x squared divided by 2 leaves an x squared, minus 8x divided by 2 leaves a 4x, plus, and 6 divided by 2 leaves 3 left. Okay, you keep factoring. So this is a trinomial that we are factoring. So we're going to guess and check our way through that. The 2 stays right where it is. I'm going to keep factoring what's in the parentheses into 2 parentheses, 2 binomials. Okay, to get x squared, it's x times x. Since it's x squared, I don't have to worry about the rainbows that are here. I can find 2 things that multiply to 3 and add to -4. So things that multiply to 3 are just 1 and 3. But I need it to multiply or add to -4, they're both going to have to be negative. So it's a -1 and a -3 here. So y equals this. This is my intercept form. Okay. And then I can change to vertex form by completing the square. I'm coming all the way back to my standard form and I'm completing the square with this. Now this one's a little bit tricky and I'm going to show you completing the square here. I'll show you completing the square in the factored form without a number in front, but I am going to give you this idea so that you have it and you know what you can do. So if I have to complete the square from here, I'm going to go ahead and do y equals 2x squared minus 8x plus blank plus 6 minus blank. Now, here's the problem is when we completed the square before, there was never this number in front. And we've learned through factoring that that number in front does make a difference. We have to do a little bit of work here in order to figure that out. And I don't want this number in front. So what I can do is take these 3 terms here and factor that number out. So I'm going to take that 2 and put it out front. That gives me an x squared minus from this term leaves a 4x plus. Now I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to leave it as a blank. Okay, I'm ignoring this for right now. We'll get back to it. Okay, I keep working from there. Now, if I want to complete the square, I've got to find something here that allows me to write this as something squared. So this is what I'm going for. Okay, well, what would this happen to be? Well, to get a -4, it has to be a -2 and a -2. So that has to be -2. What's -2 times -2? It's +4, because that's where that one comes from. Okay, working my way backwards, and I need that because I need to know how to fill this space in here. Okay, if I wanted this to be 4 from this blank, I factored out a 2. Well, 2 times x squared was 2x squared, 2 times -4x is -8x, so 2 times 4 is 8. So it was actually an 8 and a -8 that I put on there, which then allows me to take the end of this and say the +6 and the -8 that I didn't mess with makes a -2. So y equals 2 times x minus 2 squared minus 2 is my vertex form. So that gives me my other form that's right there and what I can do to work with that. So those are my 2 forms there. Again, that second part was a little bit extra, but I'm giving you some information there. From vertex form, going to standard form is the easiest. So all I do is multiply everything out. So I have -2 times x minus 3 times x minus 3 plus 7. Remember that x minus 3 squared is not just simply distributing the square. I'm going to multiply the x minus 3 times x minus 3 first. So I'm going to get x squared minus 6x plus 9. A reminder here that -3 times x and -3 times x makes -6x, and -3 times -3 makes -9. I still have this -2 times that whole thing. So now I'm going to distribute the -2 through. I get -2x squared plus 12x minus 18. I still have this plus 7. Combine my like terms. So now I'm going to have my final answer, -2x squared plus 12x minus 11. This right here is standard form for everybody. Now, to get to factored form, in this case, you could factor, and again, we could work on factoring with a number in front. For this one, it does not factor nicely, okay? And we're not going to do that. If you actually graph this one, you'll figure out that the x-intercepts in this one come out to be 1.13 and 4.87. And so we're just not going to work with the factoring on that one. Again, you could go through and factor, but it would be the same thing as what I'm doing here from standard form if it was factorable. So that is your vertex form and how you can switch things around there. And then we're going to come over here to factored form. So if it's in factored form, it's fairly easy to put a problem into, missing my numbers here. Okay, if it's in factored form, easy to put a problem into standard form. I'm just going to go ahead and distribute. So I'm going to distribute the x times x is x squared. The x times 5 is a positive 5x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. So if I simplify this, combine like terms, I get y equals x squared plus 2x minus 15 as my standard form. Okay, now that's standard form. If I want to go to vertex form, I need to complete the square. So in this case, I'm going to complete the square from this step here. I'm not going all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to do y equals x squared plus 2x. This is where my plus blank comes in. Minus 15. I've got to complete the square here, so I have to subtract that amount as well from both sides. Okay, how do I find this amount? I take my b value. Remember, c is equal to b divided by 2 quantity squared. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. So my C value is 1 here. I am taking what is in this little area here, these three terms, this trinomial, and I'm writing it as 2 squares, because how does it factor? Well, it factors into x plus 1 times x plus 1. How do I know that? Because 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. This can be written simply as x plus 1 quantity squared. I can write it as it's the same thing squared. Bring down everything that I have at the end here, that's a minus 16, and put a y equals, and you end up with your vertex form. Again, go through completing the square and how to do that, and that's what you are seeing there. So that's the end of my recording here.